Well, now our next speaker is Dr. Ali bin Muhammad Mujli. Dr. Ali has worked in the field of education as a teacher and a researcher since 1999. His areas of interest are instructional design, differentiated instruction, and functional linguistics. He has attended several conferences on education, both in the kingdom and abroad. He was a member of Building Leadership for Change through School Immersion training program at Monash University in Australia, 2017. He holds a BA in English, an MA and PhD in curriculum and instruction with concentration on TEFL. Dr. Ali, his speech will be about teaching speaking skills, a functional approach. Yes.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء المرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم أجمعين. Today I am going to speak about teaching speaking skills, a functional approach. First of all, I would say what is the meaning of the title. What I mean by the title, we all know the meaning of the word teaching, which is the total practices of the teachers inside the class in order to help students learn. And I mean by functional, this means a language use, and the approach is a guide, is a kind of a guide for teachers in order to improve their students' speaking skills. Okay, in this paper we are going to review the teaching of and learning of speaking in our schools in terms of related points to students, teachers, and textbooks. And then we all teachers, and I have been teaching for more than 10 years, and I faced so many problems, especially regarding students' levels and textbook design. So we are going to discuss some theoretical part in order to suggest a solution for such problems. And finally, we will give a practical example for applying this proposed approach in designing teaching to improve productive skills, especially speaking. Okay, what is the current status of our students? I have come across several studies. The oldest study I found that was in 1980, and the recent by Al-Uhaydi. And the most recent study that state that we have some problems in productive skills is a study by Dr. Ibrahim Zakari in 2017. So these 39 years maybe stated that those studies stated that we have a problem in the productive skills of our students. How about teachers? Teachers, sometimes I worked also as a supervisor for more than 3 years. I visited many teachers. I attended so many classes for teachers, and I come with the result that teachers always complained about the time of teaching, the textbooks design, and that the units or the content of this textbook is above students' level. What should we do to solve such problems? Okay. We are currently teaching Super Goal and Mega Goal. And according to the publishers, these courses we teach in intermediate and secondary school are dynamic. They can be taught in 1 hour course, 1 hour a day course, 2 hours a day course, 3 hours a day course. But unfortunately, this means that a teacher can select. He can select what suits his objectives and what suits his students. But there is no clear criteria for such selection. So what should we do? And search for a solution for this, the problem with our students, the problem with time, the problem with textbook design, we should consider some points in this regard. We should consider the following in order to provide our students and our teachers with an easy guide that can be clearly followed inside the classroom while they are teaching in order to overcome their problems. I have been teaching, I have been supervising, I have been dealing with all these problems. So throughout this long experience and also researching for 7 years, we should consider these points to find a solution for these problems. The first one is learning language is learning how to mean. So what should we do? We should help our students to convey the meanings. We should help our students to express themselves. We should develop the resources of meaning making according to this point of view. And if you want to get more information about this view, you can Google this linguist and find about this point. Okay. Especially in primary school, now we are looking for an easy guide for our teachers to help students produce language. Okay? So the first point we should consider is that learning a language is learning how to mean. And the second point we should consider our teaching design, especially in primary school in the early ages, must go around these language functions. These language functions, when they are clearly presented to the teacher, he can easily present them to the students. Okay? This way, they can develop their resources of making meanings that we mentioned in the first point. So these 7 skills, 7 functions are the basic functions of language that must be clearly presented to students, especially in primary school. So our teaching in primary school must be designed around these 7 functions. Okay? The third point, each use of language. The third point, each situation in which we use language has 3 main elements. And also, these points must be clearly presented in our textbook to the teacher and to the students. These elements are what I am talking about. Today I am talking about a functional approach. So, secondly, who are the participants in the social purpose or in the language use situation? Number 3, how, the mode, the text, what is the channel? What is the channel that through which I convey my message? When I talk about, for example, weather, it is different about talking about religion, for example. When I send an email, it is different from writing an essay or delivering a speech. So we need to consider these 3 elements too. Next. Since language learning is learning how to mean, is helping students how to convey their messages, how to express themselves either orally or written, we need to develop these 3 resources of language in their memory, in their minds. These 3 resources are ideational function or resource, interpersonal function, and textual function, the nature of the text they use. Okay? So first, we talked about the meaning of learning a language, learning how to mean. Second, we have to design our lessons around the 7 functions, basic functions. Third, the 3 main elements of each language situation, which are who, what, who, and how. And gradually, in the middle study or intermediate study, we have to gradually develop these resources for our students. Okay, look at this diagram. In this diagram, it is clearly clarifies clearly the points that we talked about. And when we say functional approach, it means language use, a guide for using language, a guide for teachers to help their students to produce language. So look at this. The social purpose is the topic, my topic, and field, tenor, mode are the 3 main elements of each situation. And the third part, these are the resources of the student's mind, the student's memory, the student's experiences that we have to, as teachers and textbook makers or textbook designers or teaching lesson designers, we have to aim at developing these 3 main resources. At the end, these elements, these parts form the language system. So, in search for solution to help our students to produce language, we should consider these points and the relationship between these points and each language situation. Okay. This is also another classification of language resources that we have to develop. Now we are going to discuss connecting those mentioned ideas. How can we practically apply those ideas in designing English language teaching lessons in order to help our students produce language, either spoken or oral. Okay, so we have to start our unit, module, textbook with building or equipping students with necessary resources such as vocabulary, grammar, and communicative strategies. These resources are employed in practicing speaking skills production. Okay? Our students can't speak without words. They must know words in order to speak. And they must be aware of the word order. So we have to start the unit, the textbook, the lesson with these things. Otherwise, they will not be able to produce the language at the end. Secondly, so the first thing is we need to develop these resources, which means vocabulary and grammar, clearly speaking. And then we have to enhance the use of language resources through lessons of receptive skills. What are the receptive skills? They are listening and reading. First, we provided the students with vocabulary and grammar. Then, based on these vocabulary and grammar are based on the topic, the theme of the unit or module or the book, okay? And then we have to enhance the use of these vocabulary and word order in terms of reading and listening. And also we need to connect all these things to the basic 7 functions of the language in order to easily and gradually develop our students' resources of making meanings. Okay, as we are giving our teachers clear guides, they will be easily dealing with and presenting their lessons because they understand what they are going to present, what they are going to teach. So speaking skills production lessons come at the end of each unit of study after students develop the required meaning-making resources. They are vocabulary, pronunciation, grammar, and other required strategies for learning and again producing language. Okay. This is a teaching cycle, learning and teaching cycle, which is based on language use or meaning-making way of teaching. First, we have to build the knowledge of the topic. Secondly, practice, model, text, listen, watch, and read. Cooperative creation of a new text, cooperative with other students, okay, and the teacher in order to help students to produce language. And then independent creation of a new text and assessing students' learning formatively and summatively. And always, I think, for my own point of view, always put pedagogy before technology. Technology is only a way in order to facilitate our teaching. We must know that we don't have to make technology as an objective for our teaching. The objective of our teaching is helping our students to produce language. And using technology, ICT, this can simplify this task. Okay. This approach or this teaching guide for using language and the idea that learning a language is learning how to mean is widely used, especially in Australia, New Zealand, China, Singapore, and it is successfully used in both teaching language and learning through language. Okay, so now I provide you with an example taken from Mega Goal 1. And these 6 points are the points through which we can use to redesign our currently used textbooks to make them easy for our teachers and our students. And teachers can use these points to redesign their lessons, especially in intermediate and secondary school. And I applied this on 3 units of Mega Goal. So first to redesign this unit careers from Mega Goal 1, we determined the objectives of the unit, and this is the most important point in our proposed approach, which is processing the content. Sometimes I feel lost when I go through the content of the unit. Do you agree with me, gentlemen? Sometimes I feel lost when I go through the parts of the units of Mega Goal or Super Goal. So this is my own point of view, I suggest to reorder the lessons according to this order. First one, we should start with meanings. We should present our students with the necessary vocabulary and in context, not isolated vocabulary. And I think I have more 5 minutes. Okay. Anyway, you can consider this as an example for applying the approach, and you can reorder your lessons according to this meanings. How do you say it? Sharpen your ears, I can understand it. And production, language production must come at the end. Okay? So you will not feel lost anymore. And if you need the units redesigned according to this suggested approach, I will be happy to provide you with them. Thank you very much for listening, and thank you for the ones who give me the chance to be here. Thank you.
Thank you so much for Dr. Ali.
ومكتب فرسان نشكر مدير الجلسة الأستاذ محمد الصايغ.
We will know the 5th winner of Wall Street course.